Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Running a few minutes behind here at the Hartley Center. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm Valerie Renee Shepard, Dr. Valerie Renee Shepard. It's still not second nature for me to say that. One of these times it's going to be. It's very exciting when I hear it come out of my mouth or when someone else introduces me as doctor. It's pretty wicked. Okay, so rewind. Good morning. I'm Dr. Valerie Renee Shepard, and I'm here live at the Hartley Center for Mindfulness and Self-Mastery, where we help you get into the understanding and the living of mastering yourself in your life so that you can exquisitely manage whatever your life brings your way. And sometimes your life brings your way that you're arriving at some place at a different time than you intended to, than you planned to, than you thought you were going to. And if that's the only thing that doesn't turn out your way in that day, that's pretty darn good. So good morning. Hello out there. How are you doing? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening if you're in a place where it's actually the wee hours of the nighttime and you couldn't sleep and so you decided to get up and join the Hump Day Happy Chat. Well, hallelujah and amen. Thank you very much for being here. If you're watching live, type in something special about today that you're looking forward to having happen today. What are you looking forward to? What I'm looking forward to, I'm about to talk about in this Hump Day Happy Chat. So I'll tell you that in a minute. So I just want to welcome you. Thank you very much for being here. I'll tell you a couple little things about the Hump Day Happy Chat. It's designed not for me to just talk to the camera. It's designed for you to get something out of it, to live your life in a more high vibration, happy, upbeat, bliss-filled way. It's about you growing in self-mastery so that you can have more of the things that you want in your life and less of the things that you don't. And let's face it, a lot of the things that show up in life are not the things we want. And that's okay. How do we deal with it? It's how do we deal with it that really matters. And so if that's the deal, then what else is possible? What more is possible than the way I'm actually living my life today? What more is possible than the way my life is unfolding today? And so the Happy Chat is a way to help you do that, to help you have that kind of life. Self-mastery is rooted in 3 pillars: self-awareness, self-acceptance, and self-love. I teach about all 3 of those pillars in these Happy Chats. Also, over in the Bliss Collective, my private Facebook group. Come on into the Bliss Collective and join us. If you're already a member, yay! Thank you so much. Invite a friend, maybe. It might be fun for more than one of you to go through what we do in there together and uplift one another as you uplift the world through your ripple effect of your vibration. It's facebook.com/groups/the Bliss Collective. The Bliss Collective. If you're watching the replay, #replay. If you have questions, you can do a #AskValerie, and I'll get to your questions as quickly as I can. The Bliss Collective, we're a community on a mission to create a movement to create more peace, love, joy, and freedom on the planet, one person at a time, starting with ourselves. It's an understanding and a belief that wherever I take my energy, wherever I plant myself moment to moment, I'm affecting what's going on there. Laws of the universe. So I'm going to affect it. I'd like to affect it in a high vibration. I don't want to go there as a grumpy grump. I want to affect it in a high vibration. And so that's what we practice in the Bliss Collective. If you have a question and it's too sensitive for it to be just typed in, feel free to send me a private message. I'm happy to answer it, and I will change the story around to give my answers in a way that don't out you. So you'll remain anonymous even while I'm answering your questions. And we are just a few days away from the next grow in self-mastery, flow into bliss, super 7-day challenge to have more peace, love, joy, and freedom. Yay! All you have to do is go to tinyurl.com/self-mastery challenge to join the challenge. And you will have opportunities to kind of check in with yourself, to see yourself in action, and to learn some very specific foundational principles and tools that will help you live in a high vibration day after day after day after day. And we're getting some really good feedback about what people are experiencing and also what they're learning about themselves. Self-mastery is about you and how you do life. It's not about how anyone else does life, although there are a lot of ways that what's going on in the world tries to tell you that's what you should be focused on. But it's not. It's not. And this Hump Day Happy Chat will help talk to you about that. So let's get into it. Hump Day Happy Chat number 174. Why don't you just dance with yourself? Imagine that. This is an interesting question. And it came up to me this morning, actually, as I was in my re-entry, I call it. I've been away for the last several days. I went off the grid. I put an autoresponder on my email, and I just said, I'll get back to you whenever, after I get back. And I do that a lot more these days, just private, quiet time to myself. This particular time wasn't that. This particular time was fun, raucous, playful time in the woods. I love camping, in the woods with my big brother and my sister-in-law and their friends. A long weekend spent yucking it up, having fun, laughing, eating a lot of stuff I don't normally eat, as much as I did, a lot, and doing and saying and playing and watching their TV and meeting their friends and playing with their dog and hanging in their system, their whole system of life. It was audaciously wonderful. It was more fantastic than ever. I've got some pictures I'm going to post on my personal Facebook page. So if you're a friend, you can check the pictures out. I was at an event, an experience on the East Coast of the United States in Baltimore, Maryland, and it was called the Baltimore Bowman Traditional Classic. And it's been running for years. Baltimore Bowman is a club of archers, and they host every year an annual 3-day event. This year it was 4 days, so they've expanded it to 4 days out at the Bowman grounds, which there's an equestrian center on the property, and then there's all this open space. It's a weekend of camping and dancing around the fire and shooting in the woods. And this was my first experience of that kind of shoot. I shoot at targets mostly. And it's all a part of rehabbing my right side, and that's a whole nother story, but I took it up. I take up things, rather than going to physical therapy all the time, I encourage myself to do things that would use the musculature in that way as a part of rehab. So I play the piano, for example, to work on my right hand and my right arm and get them back into gear. And archery is a part of my whole right side. So I do these things as a part of how I grow myself into a new version of myself. And this was all about togetherness. I mean, we had Michael's group. There was a huge camp of people that he knows from other aspects of his life. Michael and Heidi and I are both in the Society for Creative Anachronism, the SCA. And so a bunch of their SCA friends were there, and I got to play with them, and I got to shoot, and it was just so much fun. And then yesterday, I came home to my house, chez moi, to my place, where I am alone. I didn't have Tucker, their big, gorgeous, long-furred German Shepherd, to play with anymore, to distract myself with. I couldn't get into conversation with my sissy or my big brother, who is like the bee's knees to me. My big brother, I couldn't distract myself with being in community, with getting to know Colum or Janie, or learning how they're cooking something, or watching someone else shoot. I couldn't distract myself. There's no awesome group activities on which to focus my attention so as not to have my attention focused on me. There were no singular decisions to make because we were in community. We were doing the happy dance of the group. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Everything is very, very right with group play. Everything can be very, very right with group play. Today, that ain't happening. And so what is possible in the singularity of your life? So when you can't be with others, the last 2.5 years of COVID, like in a pandemic, when you're told it's not safe to be in certain environments, and those happen to be the environments that you made this quintessential part of your life with others, and you have to be, quote, all by yourself. I'm all by myself. How do you maintain happiness and wholeness in those circumstances? How is it that you can have your bliss in both and, in either or? And I can be happy by myself, and I can be happy with people. I can be ecstatic with people, and I can be just as ecstatic by myself. That's where this came from. The real magic can happen when you can learn to dance with yourself in high vibration, in joy, in bliss, in trust, in faith, in total fulfillment and contentment. Everything is very, very right here. I'm just dancing with myself. So my historic perspective on this, what can I tell you? There's not much great on this. I did not like being alone. I have done several things throughout the history of my life to grow myself and my ability to be alone with myself. I used to travel for business, and I always stayed in big hotels, especially for conferences. I would stay in conference hotels, and then I would notice I'm among all these people, and I still feel by myself, and I don't like it. What's that all about? Have you ever noticed that? You'll be with a crowd of people, and still you feel completely alone, and you don't like it. Yeah, your life is talking to you, and it's singing a beautiful song. Just pay attention. I used to travel and put myself, this is when I first started staying in bed and breakfasts, was when one of the times I definitely remember was I was going to something in New Orleans, and instead of staying at the host hotel, I convinced my boss to let me stay in a bed and breakfast. It wasn't called an Airbnb back then. It was a bed and breakfast. And I stayed in a bed and breakfast in the Garden District, even though the hotel, the host hotel, was in down where the main part of the New Orleans fun stuff is. Way there. And I made myself so that I would, and I also found out how to take the trolley, so I would be out and about by myself and learn to go on a date with myself. Learn how to do it as a person on her own. It was monumental. It was monumental in two ways. Not only did I get to do it, I got to experience myself doing it. So this is something that you'll hear me talk about, being a fly on the wall of your own life. I got to watch myself, experience myself, be in the moment as I'm being in those moments. Like, what's the voice in my head saying about this moment? I got to really be there. And then came other situations, another very poignant one for me. So, have you ever gone onto the dance floor and danced by yourself? It's much more normal an occurrence these days. There are still those who would never do it. They would go with another girlfriend or go with, I don't know too many guys who would go dance with other guys, but dancing with yourself. So we're definitely using this as a metaphor. If it's not dancing that you don't want to do by yourself, maybe there are other things. Like, I also hated going into restaurants and ordering food by myself. And so I would order from room service, only I never really liked the room service food. It would come and it wouldn't be hot enough. Sometimes it was basic stuff off the menu. I really wanted to go to that restaurant down the street that everyone's talking about, but I didn't want to walk in and get, oh, just one is what the hostess often says. Just one? Oh, you're eating by yourself? Nobody seems excited that you're eating by yourself. Or that's my interpretation of the way they're being. Notice that? So I wouldn't do it. That was another one of those growth places that I put myself in. I'm going to go out to dinner tonight. I'm going to go to a really nice restaurant. I'm going to get dressed up. I'm going to ask for the best table. And I'm going to order a bottle of my favorite wine. Even if I don't finish it, I'm there and I'm treating myself really specially, the way I want to feel that I'm special, and not waiting for someone else to do it. Now, sometimes there's this double whammy, right? Not only I've got to go out there and do it by myself, so I'm feeling like people are judging me that first time, wow, she's here by herself. And then the second time about how I look when I'm doing it. If I'm dancing, she doesn't dance very well. Why would you go out there by herself? So there's a double whammy there. She's laughing all by herself. What's so funny? Who's she talking to? Oh, she might have an earbud in. So think about this for yourself. How far have you gone down the rabbit hole of, I can't be alone? And this is a big deal right now, where people are so distraught over having to figure out what to do and who to be and how to be that alone. And I'm not saying we all should be alone. I'm saying when you can't change the fact that you are alone, you can't change the fact that you are with yourself only, how do you be happy and whole? If you want to wait until there's more people around, you can do that. Only, look what's happening now. People have been waiting for 2.5 years, and there are a lot of people who are going off the deep end because of it. So it's much better in a world of self-mastery, in the world of living happy to be me, in the world of the Bliss Collective, in the world of I matter to myself, in the world of self-mastery, I am aware of myself, I accept myself, and I love myself. You have to grow in your capacity to do both. To be bliss-filled when I'm with people, and to be just as bliss-filled, for me it's sometimes even more, just as bliss-filled when you're with only yourself. By the way, you're never alone. That's a subject for another day. Why don't you just dance with yourself? So where did this come from? So also in the Wayback Machine, I once was engaged to a guy who didn't like to dance. I love dancing. I think dancing is how I sing my song, one of my songs, of creativity, of expression, of love of the divine, of joy, of release. It's a bodily movement of release. Ecstatic dance fills me up. I was once engaged to a guy who didn't do it. We would go out and he would refuse to go on the dance floor with me, even knowing how much I like it. Now, I would make him wrong for that. That's not appropriate either. He was doing his dance and I wanted to do mine, and the two weren't together. That's in and of itself something to explore. But just talking about me, the first downward spiral was making him wrong and me right. And the second downward spiral was I sucked myself in, closed myself off to the very me that wanted expression. Because he wouldn't do it with me. Because he wouldn't revel in it the same way I did. What a waste of energy. What a way to fill myself up with negative, and it did. It filled me up with resentment. You must not love me if you won't dance with me. You don't love me enough to dance with me. That's ridiculous. That's kind of resentment. He doesn't need to dance to prove his love. I need to do what I need to prove my love. How much do I love me? And this isn't just dancing, right? Dancing is a metaphor. This can happen when people go to the movies together, choose restaurants together, try to do hobbies together, choose a book to read for the book club. All of those things can be a part of the addiction we have to quote unquote not being alone, to like lulling us to sleep, lulling yourself to sleep by being focused so much on what other people see for you, or by only seeing what other people can do and trying to be a part of that, instead of nurturing and growing your own muscle, your own capacity, your own expansion of your heart, your own dance with your own soul. What is in you to be expressed is not dependent on anyone else wanting to express it. What is in you to be expressed is not in you so that other people will do it with you. It's in there for you to express it. Interestingly enough, by expressing it on your own, in your full glory, totally 100% the way you feel called to express it, draws to you people of like mind and like heart. Law of reflection, law of attraction. So even when you're not trying to have a room filled with people who are just like you, just by being fully you, the people in that room who are, let themselves be known to you. You go out on the dance floor and dance by yourself and somebody else joins you. You go to a restaurant and have dinner by yourself, have a great time reading your book or just the wine and chatting up the waitress or waiter, and other people see themselves as you are liberated from your own fear. Your presence automatically liberates others. That's Marianne Williamson in her poem, Our Deepest Fear. Dancing with yourself. Why don't you just dance with yourself? Nobody's here to dance with you? Why don't you just dance with yourself? It's liberation. It's freedom. It's liberation from the boxes that we put ourselves in that say it's not okay for us to be that or do that unless other conditions are met. Someone else does it with me so I don't feel strange. Who says it's strange except for maybe the other people? You don't have to call it strange. So this is a both and. It's not do it by yourself or do it with others. There are times when I want to be with others. Like this weekend was absolutely glorious. I mean, wow. I couldn't wait to get back to the camp and see what everybody was up to and hang out with everybody. And I crossed the threshold in my home last night after my flight back, and I was like, my sanctuary is receiving me now. And I breathed in my sanctuary, the home that I've created to be my sanctuary. And I reveled in what I was going to do all by myself. All by myself. So when you are noticing that you are feeling separation anxiety, where are my friends? Where's my family? Where are the people that I used to be surrounded by as a way to feel worthy, as a way to feel happy, as a way to feel like I mattered in my life? First thing is to notice that, hey, in order for me to feel worthy, happy, and like I matter, there have to be other people around telling me that by their behavior. What's that about? So I encourage and invite you to explore, what is that about for you? What is that about for you? For me, it was about feeling lovable, If there weren't people around telling me I was good at that, telling me they liked what I was wearing, telling me I was a good dancer, if there weren't people inviting me to do things with them, it must mean I'm not lovable. I'm not special. I'm not pretty. I'm not one of the cool girls, one of the good gals. It's okay to feel that way. It's not okay to feel that way endlessly, to feel that way and do nothing about it, to feel that way and make it about pleasing others in order to not feel that way. Not going to serve you long term. So we're always breathing. What's going on here? Noticing that I don't like being alone. Breathe into that statement. I'm not good at being alone. That was the catalyst to me staying in the Garden District. That was the catalyst for me to go out to dinner by myself. Baby steps. My first baby step was I'll just go downstairs in the hotel restaurant and have dinner by myself. I wasn't even leaving the hotel. In a hotel, people expect that there are all kinds of people staying there, so it's not quite as different being in a hotel by yourself, in a hotel restaurant by yourself, as it might be being in a restaurant out there by yourself. So baby step it. So get comfortable noticing what you're not comfortable being, who you're not comfortable expressing. Get comfortable. Take some baby steps. Notice. Ooh. How do I feel when the hostess says just one? The host or hostess. Then, the next thing I had to do was look at all the times when I was so hell-bent on having people with me, and it stunk. The experience was horrible. I had to go to this party, and then I was there, and it was awful. I had a horrible time. And I came home thinking, I should have stayed home by myself. Why? So I had to go back through those experiences and review and get really clear in the granular level. Why was that so not good? What was that about? What was going on? Review the not so great times that you've put yourself into because you needed to be with others. The time you went to that movie you hated, then you got in an argument afterward, you spent $23 on the movie, and then you went and spent $40 on dinner, and it was a crappy night. How about the times you go out for New Year's Eve, nobody can decide what to do, you go to this one thing, those people disappear off with people, you're kind of left standing by yourself, at midnight there's no one to kiss, or why we have to do that anyways, and you're like, that sucked, why did I bother doing that? Like, think about those times. Not in anger, but in, hey, curiosity. What can I learn about myself in those times with others where I had to be with someone else so that I could feel whole, so that I could feel good, so that I could feel lovable, so that I could feel like people saw me, heard me, understand me, wanted to be with me. Their wanting to be with me makes me valuable. It's how I get my identity. I get to show off my personality. Your false self lies in those created aspects of you. In order to unravel the false self's hooks, the way it's gotten hooked into you, you have to be willing to go into those places where the false self is created. Your personality and your identity. Identities. Personalities. You can be so addicted to being together that you don't really notice that you're not even with yourself. That's the key. Why don't you just dance with yourself? So here's the difference. When I'm in a circumstance now when I'm with a lot of people but I feel alone, that's the next step. Here's the big step. So the baby step, review the times when you've been with people because you couldn't stand being alone and it wasn't that great. What was happening? What did you dislike? Who were you being? What can you learn about you in those circumstances. Well, I become a people pleaser. Well, I get really quiet. Well, I get really distant. Well, I start to pout, and then people start to notice me more, and they give me more attention, and then I feel better. Whatever it is, without judgment, allow yourself to see yourself being that self. Being that self. And then, what is it that you really wanted? What did you really want to happen? What was your intention when you went there? And get into that and feel that. You being that version of you. Those are the baby steps, just getting clear. Clarity. Curiosity helps build clarity. Wonder what? I wonder why. I wonder why not. Wonder what more. I wonder what else. I wonder from this perspective. I wonder from that perspective. Curiosity builds clarity, or gives you the avenue toward clarity. Curiosity. Play in the baby steps. List options for how you can give the things that were missing to yourself. What are the ways I could give it to myself without changing anything in the outer? How am I changing what's going on in the inner? My own agency for creating my own intimacy. And then the big leap. The big leap comes from falling madly, deeply, unequivocally in love with yourself. So that in those moments when you can't choose to be alone, you are alone. It has happened. Like you're in a group and you feel alone and you didn't choose that, what can you do? When you're told you're not allowed to go out or come in or be together and you're alone, what are you doing? That is the big leap. One of the things that you can do to get further along this journey is to write a love letter to yourself. A lot of our need to be with others is a need to be validated by others. And the way you get better at being alone in joy and bliss is to validate yourself. Validate yourself. That's called agency. That's called self-empowerment. That's an important aspect of self-mastery. And the tool that I love to use for this is write a love letter to yourself. A gushing love letter. And now I've worked with people who had nothing kind to say about themselves. And if you're there, it's important that you just notice it and love that. Wow, I don't have a very loving presence with myself. That is the first step. Notice. And then decide to shift it. And then move yourself to higher ground. Find one thing that you love about yourself. And in an ideal world, the deeper you go into this, you are noticing things that are not accomplishments, are not credentials, are not from the doing nature of you. They are just a part of you. For me, that was getting really deeply in love with being a soul incarnated into a black body. Deeply loving myself as a black woman. Absolutely in joy and appreciation with this deep, rich, walnutish, caramel, cocoa butter, I don't know, color of my skin. And the more people dislike it, the more I fall in love with it. So find those aspects of yourself you can't necessarily change. The texture of your hair, the way your toes are shaped, how your nails grow, and fall in love. And when you do that at a deeper level, this question, why don't you just dance with yourself, becomes absolutely easy. And you look at how you dance with yourself in every single circumstance of your life. The ones that you can choose and control, and the ones that you cannot. Like that. Yay! Many blessings. Thank you so much for joining me on this morning's Hump Day Happy Chat. Yay! I'm always wishing you the best. I'm always inviting you to come play. We always close the Hump Day Happy Chat with the Karanaya Metta Sutra from the Buddha, the prayer of loving kindness. Why do I use this prayer? Because I love the way I feel when I say it. And it reminds me, it's not about the tradition of Buddhism. It's about the energy that gets infused in myself and in my world by breathing into these words. May all beings be peaceful. Yes, yes, yes. May all beings be safe. Yes, yes, yes. May all beings be happy. Yes, 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 yes. May all beings awaken, awaken, awaken to the light of their true nature. Yes, 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 yes. And may all beings be free. Emotional freedom, y'all. Emotional freedom. Free yourself from the aspects of yourself that are holding you back, keeping you down. Awaken and free yourself. This is Dr. Valerie Renee Shepherd signing off from the Hartley Center for Mindfulness and Self-Mastery. May you have an absolutely bliss-filled hump day, and see you soon. Bye now.